I mean, be brave and go into, you're right, predominantly minority neighborhoods. Here are the facts. In 2012, President Obama won against Mitt Romney. The margin of victory in 7 key states were because of the African-American vote. And it was Florida, it was Nevada, it was Maryland, it was Ohio, it was Pennsylvania. That's what Donald Trump is up against. So in order to do this right, you're right, Megan, I think that Mr. Trump does need to go into predominantly African-American neighborhoods and make speeches like that.
Julie, what did you make of, he said minority voters, and he's talking about apocalyptic terms, talking about the war zone. You can't walk down the street without getting shot.
Well, he's talking to all minority voters, right? Is that what he's talking to? Because 3/4 of those minority voters are middle-class families who don't live in war zones, don't want to be stereotyped that way. And what he's doing is awful. If he's specifically speaking to people who live in bad parts of Chicago who are at risk every day, fine, but that's not what he's doing. He's appealing to all African Americans and people of color and saying, hey, by the way, what do you have to lose? Well, you know what they have to lose? They have to lose living under a president who thinks of them as people who are in the ghetto. That is the most stereotypical, offensive thing I've heard.
I didn't hear it that way. I heard the words that he said. He was talking about urban America. He was talking, and I took that the flashes that came into my mind were Ferguson. They were Baltimore.
That's what she was doing.
40 years of Democratic leadership in Baltimore.
But that's not who he's speaking to. He's speaking to all minority voters.
He's in groups that Megan is saying, and she's right about this. He's in groups of people who are predominantly white as he's making the statements. But as he's talking about urban America, yeah, that is what he's talking about. He's talking about getting shot on the streets of Chicago.
I gotta tell you, what that said to me is that he probably hasn't really been around minorities too much in his life. Because if you're stereotyping an entire minority community that way,
are you saying because we have a black president, he wouldn't understand what you're going through?
That's not at all what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that I hope my black president has been around some white people so he understands their experience. I would hope that this guy has been around black people and in some ways thinks
aren't they only people who can solve your problem?
Wait a second, that's not at all what I'm saying, Harris. All I'm saying is if he's stereotyping African Americans and saying that all African Americans are living in some ghetto project where, in other words, they can't. That's exactly what he's saying. He's saying to minority voters, what do you have to lose?
I'm sorry, that's not what he's saying. Donald Trump is saying that economic growth would help these neighborhoods where they are afflicted by high levels of murder and crime. A job would help it. Would help stop that. The economic growth would help.
And the advanced policing that created the situation in New York turned it from a hellhole into a slice of paradise.
What is he proposing? What is he actually proposing?
The same kind of stuff that Rudy Giuliani did in the mid-'80s to turn, or in the 90s to turn New York around. Absolutely. He's got Rudy Giuliani as one of his top advisors.
That's what you're proposing.
That's what Rudy Giuliani is proposing for him to do to turn these neighborhoods around. I
haven't seen Donald Trump.
From crime-infested neighborhoods into neighborhoods where people can walk down the street without being afraid. What's wrong with that?
I haven't seen any specifics from Donald Trump as to how he's going to turn around these inner cities.
You hear it all the time in terms of what Rudy's saying, what all his advisors are saying. Of course you do.
I want to interject this because Real Clear Politics, if you check it daily as we do on Outnumbered, there is a tightening, and they're looking at polling across the nation. So I know we look at a lot of the battleground states, but our producers are letting me know that Hillary's at 47%, Trump is at 41.5%. Now, we don't have necessarily the demographic breakdown. Something's working because those numbers are tightening, and it's only been a few days.
Also,
he's been on message.
They're very uncomfortable topics to talk about. I mean, I can't think of anything I want to talk about worse. It is actually very brave to even be having these kind of discussions on the stage that he has. I had wished Mitt Romney had done that more when he was running, so I can't criticize him on this.
Well, but I can criticize because there have been conservative black leaders who come out and say, come to our neighborhoods. Don't just speak in front of white. He's been speaking in front of 97% white audience about this message that would resonate in black communities.
He's talking to people in Milwaukee, 40 miles away from Milwaukee. Go to Milwaukee if you want to have that discussion.
That I agree with you on.
All right, Hillary Clinton joking about her email scandal on late night TV. This amid a back and forth between Clinton and former Secretary of State Colin Powell, who says she's trying to pin her server set on him. Are jokes really the way to go here, or are voters laughing it off too? Stay tuned.